and gentlemen, welcome to the Bad Brad Berkowitz Show on Ringside Reports YouTube channel. Now here's your host, who moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma from the East Coast, Bad Brad Berkowitz.
Facebook, everybody's favorite thing. But the crazies come out on Facebook. Today alone, I had on my homepage, Ray-Bans for sale. I don't know who this person is. They don't ask you. They just put it on your page. I guess I'm selling Ray-Bans. So, hey, Ray-Ban, I do like your sunglasses. I get at least 3 pairs free because you send somebody out to put it on my Facebook page. But hey, how about the guys that talk in third person on Facebook, where they'll insult somebody and say, talk as themselves, or they heard. Don't you love they heard? They heard what? They heard nothing. Facebook, my pet peeve of the day. Even though it's a necessary evil, and I do use it to promote the show and other things. But all the other things that don't need to be on Facebook. Hey guys, Mark Zuckerman, I think it's, I know we're best of friends, and if you believe I got a bridge in Brooklyn, I can sell you. We got to do something about Facebook. We got to change the rules and stuff like that. But hey, folks, we're not here to talk about Facebook or Mark Zuckerman, who if I had 0.001 of his wealth, we wouldn't be talking at all. Forget about it. But hey, let's start this show, so come fly with me. My guest today is from Tulsa, Oklahoma. He is the owner of the very popular world-class fighting and fitness gym in Tulsa. You've also seen him in the corners of many of the 4-state franchise fighters. That's actually how I first met him. Now, I'm going to tell you this, folks. I've been to his gym. We shot the videos, I should say, of Trey Morrison sparring, Jarrett Rouse sparring, and the gym is like walking in to a gym in Philadelphia. And folks, I get a lot of IMs and I get some texts and I get emails saying, Bad Brad. And I'm not trying to talk in third person because I hate that, but that's what they start out saying. Are you getting paid to say these things, or do you really mean them? Well, I'm going to do something a little different here. If you would, Deb, pan over to these pictures right here for a moment. Okay? And then if you would, pan back to me. That, folks, is my father, God rest his soul. Okay? Alvin Frank Berkowitz. He taught me one thing growing up. Never say anything that you don't mean, and don't ever say anything that you won't stand by. This gym is amazing. I told this gentleman who we're going to bring on the show here in a moment that it was like walking into Joe Frazier's gym in Philadelphia, or any one of those gyms, even a couple in the Rocky movies, and I know that's Hollywood, but that feel, that old school feel where you felt like Angela Dundee was in there, or Ray Arcel, or Georgie Benton, all the legends, God rest their souls, are all gone. So if you don't know about this gym, world-class fighting and fitness gym in Tulsa, Oklahoma, you do now. You need to check it out. And on that note, please welcome to the show, Craig Black. What's going on, man? Glad you made it. Have a seat. This is the man behind the gym, folks. Okay? And he cooks some mean spaghetti.
Nice to shoot.
Yeah, right? How many guests come on and bring me food? Forget about it. This man brought food, so this has now set the bar up here. So whenever you come on the Bad Brad Berkowitz Show, you got to out to him. And I already know he can cook because we talked about this many times. Again, welcome to the show.
Thanks, sir.
Let's start out with this. I know you have a big MMA background. How did you first get into MMA?
I grew up fighting.
Okay.
Single mom, working her butt off, multiple jobs, defending a sister, defending the house. We grew up in a community where everybody was pretty well off, and we had this, I'd like to call nostalgic, falling down house. And I just, some of my best friends back in the day came from that. That's how things used to happen. Now things get out of control, but yeah. And then I got into martial arts, and I was a rodeo clown in the PBR and PRCA for about 10, 12 years.
I didn't know that about you. Okay, we didn't talk about that one too.
Yeah, I fought bulls for years.
Okay.
That's why my body's broke up so much.
Okay.
And then through the years, I did a lot of bare knuckle.
Okay.
I say a lot. I mean, it feels like a lot. I had 14 bare knuckle fights for money.
Okay.
And then just evolved into my first martial art. My first black belt was in ninjutsu, and then I hooked up with Grandmaster Toddy out of Bangkok, Thailand, and through years of training with him, I became, which is instructor under Grandmaster Toddy.
Okay.
And then a good friend of mine, when I got involved in law enforcement at one time, introduced me to Sensei Burris, two-time Olympian, Olympic coach.
Okay.
And Dr. Ron Tripp, and so I have a judo background underneath Dr. Tripp, and it just evolved. And then I thought, man, you know, what's a guy gonna do to me that a bull hasn't done? I mean, I've had everything. I mean, things you can't imagine. And I kind of I've always been kind of different in that I rodeoed underneath my stepdad's name.
Okay.
So nobody really knew about Craig Blacklock. I rodeoed underneath Craig Davis. And so Craig Blacklock, the martial artist, the fighter, people didn't really know about that in rodeo and vice versa. And so I didn't glorify my dad who passed away. I have a great dad. We were just 1,800 miles apart. My family is from wine country in California.
Okay.
And then the man here that I consider my dad. And so even though he wouldn't come watch me because it scared him, and at times he was a tough fighting guy too, but I got hurt one time and I heard him break down and cry on the phone. And he said he'd never come. But my name was announced under his name. So I kept it separate, which was good. And even to this day, I'll meet people on the road and they're like, I heard you've been fighting. And then I hear people in fighting, I'm like, I heard you were a rodeo clown. So it was kind of, kept them separate, which was good.
Okay.
Because when I was bare knuckle fighting, I was just this rodeo guy that people were fighting behind roundup clubs and bars. And so it evolved into MMA, and then I'm gone.
And you've done that for quite a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Now what I want you to do in a second is I want you to look at the camera, and I want you to tell. I know you work with professional fighters, and we know that. Like I said in the lead-in. But for the mom and dad, or for the mom and dad want to bring their kids to your gym or whatever under your program, look at the camera, and if you would, 2 things that you'd like people to know about your gym that they're going to see or they're going to be involved in if they join your gym. And go ahead and look at the camera.
For kids and women and people that aren't interested in fighting, I just say this. Why take lessons in self-defense and martial arts on somebody who's never had to use it? There's a lot of great stuff that, I mean, I could take you, sir, and in an hour make him look like a Bruce Lee in the gym. It doesn't mean he's going to be able to do it in real life. My kids program, they learn the same stuff, watered and filtered down, that I just taught a SWAT team 2 weeks ago. The same thing I teach the women. And so as a student, you're going to learn real life tactics that I've either used in security forces and bodyguarding, or that I've trained law enforcement, and not get hurt. But if it ever happens when it's a bully to your kid, or you're walking out of the mall as a lady and somebody tries to grab your purse, or worse, then this stuff is proven. And you just don't get that everywhere.
Okay. I've seen you work corners. I've seen you wrap hands. I'm really impressed with the way you wrap hands, which I told you on the last show. I like that. Or not last show. Last show was the Buffalo One show. When did you start working corners?
It was the same with being a cowboy, Brad. I didn't want to just be the guy that bought a hat and boots. Okay. I auctioneer. I started announcing rodeos. I started participating in rodeos. I was riding bulls. I thought, if you're going to buy the hat and boots, you got to do it all. Okay. And as a coach, I saw, especially in Oklahoma, now you get up northeast, you get to Vegas, there's cutmen. And you could probably talk to some of the fight doctors, Dr. Lovelace and Sean Way, and they'll tell you, I'm legit, I'm no stitch. Right. And so I thought, if I'm going to coach these guys, and everybody starts amateur, I've got to take care of them. So I used my background in health and human performance and psychology, and I just evolved towards this. And then I thought, what else am I lacking? I've got all this martial arts experience, and I've got to know what I'm doing. I've got to know how to wrap hands. And for a fighter, whether you're a kickboxer, MMA, or boxing, this is where it starts. So there's a nerdy side to me, and I just dove off into it. And I still sit with doctors and fight doctors, and I'll ask questions. And then, probably my highlight as a corner guy is I got to talk to Stitch. And
when you say Stitch, we're going to know it's Stitch Duran.
Yes, man. If we could all just be like. I mean, he's
He's
so
amazing.
happy to be where he's
Yeah,
at.
it's amazing.
He's always in a hurry at those events,
Mm-hmm.
but man, he gives back, and he promised me a picture and some stuff, and twice now, once this year again, but for the gym. But I watched him, and man, it's like watching a guy do surgery.
Okay.
And so I thought, okay, I got to do this for my guys. I mean, if a guy gets cut, I don't want to fight stops. And, you know, MMA, a lot of times you have elbows, and kickboxing, you get shins to the head. And so that's where it began. And I have just continued to grow in that. And then I was asked to help these guys. And man, what a blessing it is to watch these guys develop. And so, and then with the hand wraps that you saw, it's not a typical hand wrap.
No,
it's a little bit of stitch.
Yep.
Some of the things, the key points, but it comes from old Muay Thai wraps from a long time ago.
Okay.
And it's
Don't
kind of
give all your secrets away though.
I'm not, but it's basically what it is it's more contouring to the hand.
Okay.
And puts things where they need to be, tape and gauze.
Okay.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what is the biggest misconception about MMA?
There's a misconception, but like most paradigms, there's a little truth in it. A lot of people, like, I'll tell you, a lot of the senseis and martial artists, and I'll give you an example, Sensei Burris.
Okay.
I mean, he's been around judo. He doesn't even really give certificates when you belt. You go anywhere to any tournament, you just say, I'm under Sensei Burris, they're like, okay. They don't even ask for verification.
Okay.
He loves combat. He loves judo. He loves MMA. But I've watched him work with MMA guys, and I won't name any names, but one of them, one day I was down there, he invited me down to help guys once in a while, and I'm watching a hero in judo, I mean, an American judo expert, and this big, tough, heavyweight guy, he's showing him how to move, and he's showing him the beauty of judo, and he's going to work with these guys. And I see Sensei Burris making jerking movements.
Okay.
That's not what happens when you're doing fit-ins and you're moving, and all of a sudden, I saw Sensei just sweeping, kind of a Sotogari type deal, and put this heavyweight. The first thing that hit was the back of his head and his neck, and he was out. And Sensei walks off the mat, and real high pitched, "Hey guys!" And Sensei Burris talks real high pitched voice, and goes in his office, and everybody's like, "Oh, don't go in there." Well, I love the guys that I've trained under, and I love the guys that I train. And I felt like it was like my dad getting mad and walking off the mat, you know. And I walk in there, and he's furious. He loves the fighting and the combat part of it and the extremeness of it. But just like people's paradigm, there's just a lot of guys. I think it should be called mixed fighting arts.
Okay.
Mixed fighting arts instead of mixed martial arts. A lot of the guys in this sport aren't martial artists in character and things.
Okay.
And so it's a catch-22. The things that people don't like or maybe don't understand about MMA, there's a little truth into it, you know. And there's people on TV that don't represent the sport well.
Okay.
And so kids and parents and, you know, people just don't. So you can love what's being done in the ring or the cage, but not like how it's being represented. So there's some truth in the misconception, if that's the right way of putting it.
Okay. And folks, on that note, we're going to take a short commercial break. Health and fitness is everything in life. To achieve both, there is nothing better than a boxing regimen to get you in shape at that special boxing gym. Grimm's Gym is that special place, located at 8010 Clifton Road in Sacramento, California. Grimm's Gym is owned and operated by Mel Walker, a trainer like no other, who will take you on a fitness journey through unconventional training methods that have yielded results for his students time and time again. So call Grimm's Gym, where there are no contracts, at 916-346-4161. Boxing fans, are you searching for a book that is timeless? A book that not only gives a fighter's perspective, but people involved in the sport and Hollywood celebrities who share their love of boxing? Then the book for you is Boxing Interviews of a Lifetime by Bad Brad Berkowitz. To order your copy in hardcover with dust jacket or paperback, go online to authorhouse.com or call 1-888 519-5121. Is your company looking to achieve more of a market share in its respective area, turning exposure into additional revenue? Well then, the Bad Brad Berkwood Show is the place you want to spend some of your allotted advertising budget. To find out about purchasing your commercial spot on the Bad Brad Berkwood Show, call the RSR office at 918-893-7997. We're now back with Craig Blacklock, who owns world-class fighting and fitness. Randy, 20 bucks, buddy, you owe me. Look at that. I didn't have to look at the cue card to say it. I got it right here. I won't forget it. But Randy, it's your turn. You got to say it 3 times and say it backwards. That's Randy Rouse. R for Randy. Now, let's talk a little boxing, which you and I have talked about before. Who is your personal favorite fighter of all time?
Just as a fighter or as a person and a fighter complex?
That's fine. No, whoever. It can encompass all of it, but he has to be a boxer.
Okay. I think one of the guys that was good for the sport, he was a showman, and granted, I don't think anybody can be a fighter and somebody not say something bad about him, but a guy was always great to me and I liked watching growing up was Sugar Ray Leonard.
Okay.
And then just the personality and the story that I've used so many times working with youth is George Foreman.
Okay. Greatest fight you've ever seen?
Gosh, it has to be back in the days. I don't have a single one, but back when I feel like boxing was really boxing. Back in the days of the Roberto Durans, the Sugar Ray Leonards, the Oscar De La Hoyas, even further than Muhammad Ali's, the Fraziers. Those guys were fighters, man. I tell guys nowadays, and it's what I've done as a coach. This isn't something you do. This interview, your show. This is who you become.
Right.
And that's why you're going to be good at it.
Thank you.
And I think that people don't understand. Everybody wants to put on a shirt. Most of the time, it's shirts that are too small for them. And they want to be a fighter.
Right.
But you've met some of them. As nice and pretty as De La Hoya or Sugar Ray was, but any of those old guys, you go behind the building, they'll fight you.
Yeah.
Now everybody wants a crowd. They want to smoke. I've had it happen. I've had altercations with guys who are like, let's do it. Let's get paid. I'm like, let's just go behind the building. And that's a fighter.
Right.
And that's where a lot of your great boxers come from. They were knuckleheads, and they had that in them, and they became fighters.
Right.
And it wasn't something they did. The stuff we got to watch growing up, it's who they became. It's what they were.
Right.
And I'm kind of watching that happen with Trey Lippy Morrison. I don't think that he knew he was, but it's not something he's doing now, which he started. But I watched it after this last fight.
Against Dawson.
He's a fighter now. It's not something he's doing.
No, and I agree with you. Yeah, put it like I said in my post fight. Okay, May 2nd, the biggest fight in boxing history. You and I talked about it off camera. Who are you going with? Mayweather or Pacquiao?
Just the question you asked before that's a great example. Pacquiao's a fighter. Mayweather, it's something he does. He makes money at it. I don't like anything about him. I think he's bad for the sport. He's going to run.
I agree.
And if Pacquiao pushes the pace, he's going to throw a couple and he's going to hug him. It's going to look like he's making love to Pacquiao. And Pacquiao's going to try to fight him. And you and I know, there's a guy that's a fighter. If he doesn't chase the guy and knock a guy out, the guy that dances and boxes and runs is probably going to win. So because I've met Pacquiao, I've watched him and Freddie Roach. I mean, it sounds kind of odd for a tough guy, but I watched Freddie Roach and Pacquiao on a publicity day work pads, and they put me in tears, man. I saw two guys a coach and a fighter that loved each other, and they were in this together, and they were never going to quit. I don't think Mayweather loves anybody but himself.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And if their careers are going to end, I want Pacquiao and Freddie, the two guys I want boxing history to be made. I don't want a rap video to be made after the last fight,
Okay. That's honesty.
Yeah.
You're pretty much an open book, and you surprised me with the rodeo clown thing because I didn't know that. but I'm still going to ask you the question. Is there anything else that you can share with the viewers that isn't known about you? One thing.
Yeah, I've had to work in this sport, fighting, boxing, MMA, kickboxing, has brought the best and worst out of me. I worked hard to get past being that angry guy that could have ended up in trouble, that could have ended up where so many fight mentality kids could have ended up. Good guy inside, did some rough things. And then I think in this sport, I went too far the other way. And I had an old Italian guy, I would say independent businessman from a big city, tell me one time, he said, it's not poetry. He said, people mistake kindness for weakness. They have to earn it. And you're giving it away. He says, so when your feelings get hurt, it's your own fault. And I did that. I tried to help so many people, and it kept me broke, Brad. And it kept me heartbroken. Because I don't think, again, this isn't something I do. I've sold out to it. I've passed up making hundreds of thousands going overseas to do security forces work. I love what's happening with Trey Lippy right now and some of these guys. So I'd say that I've carried a lot of hurt in me. People leaving the gym after I helped launch them. People not mentioning. It's not about being praised, rewarded, and recognized. But when you sell out, it's nice to say, hey man, I couldn't have done it without this guy. Yeah. And so now I've gone back the other way. It is true. You or people that I know that have earned it, but I'd walk all the way across the Coliseum to shake a guy's hand out of respect. I don't do it now. I'm 45 years old and I'm making my place, and some of these young guys didn't come up shake my hand now. That sounds very arrogant, but when you put in all the years and the time, and I've worked extra jobs to help pay for the gym to stay open and help guys, I've earned it. Absolutely. And so I've worn my feelings on my sleeve, and I've fallen in love with the guys that I work out with. I mean, you can't be a good coach and not love your guys. And that's why I got choked up watching Freddie and Pacquiao. I saw what I want, and I'm getting that. Again, I'm not a promo, and no one's paying me to promo Trey, but Trey he's heartfelt, and Tony Holden, man, I just had a talk with him the other day. These guys are real people. This is what I've stayed in business for, And then you come walking into my gym, you're like, oh man, this gym. People don't realize how much is in that gym. I know. And so there's times when it's quiet, the lights are off, and I'm sitting in there, you just get choked up. And you think, man, when's this going to pay off? And so I've had to go back the other way. And so that's something is, maybe a little firmer, maybe a less, believe it or not, talkative in public, whatever. I'm kind of a quiet guy. Less talkative, folks? I'm done. I'm done. If you're not in my circle, I'm done trying to. I totally understand. See, there you go. There's again, why I love doing these interviews, passion. It can't be faked. It can't be taught. You can't either have it here or you don't have it. And that's the passion that you continuously hear from people that sit on the couch that we do these interviews with. Lighter note, favorite actor? Well, we grew up hearing about John Wayne, but I got to tell you, because of his acting and now his producing, this guy's put more lumps in my throat watching his movies. Clint Eastwood. He's American icon. If you can't watch his movies and you don't fall in love with that guy, you need to find a passport. I agree. You know that he's going to be 85 years old this year. Yes, and I tell you, I bet he can still throw a good jab. I bet he can too. I wouldn't mess with him. He works out. Favorite movie? Probably. There's several probably along this line, but I gotta say two. One on the man side is Gladiator. Just the story. And then one because a lot of it was filmed in the area that I grew up, in Northern California, and there's just substance to it, and it's probably gonna weaken me to say it, but it's a movie with Keanu Reeves called A Walk in the Clouds. And it just has to do with this incredible family and the setting. I mean, it's one of those movies where you just want to be there. So kind of a softer. He's got a softer side. Jared Rouse picked a chick flick. I went out on a limb when I interviewed Nancy Tiny Long. I said, every time I watch the ending of Star Is Born, I cry. Hey, tough guys cry too. Forget about it. Favorite singer? Man. there's so many guys now that kind of have that same tempo, but I think they all kind of were, and I'm not saying this because I'm in your home, but you know, the Frank Sinatra, and there's reasons I won't go into and take up time, but Sinatra, I mean, there's so many guys now that have that kind of tempo and that easy.
The Harry Connick, the Michael Bublé's.
Exactly, and that they still have substance. Like we could drink a drink to them. We could put it on the background. You know, we could drive to it. It doesn't make you tired, and you almost feel relaxed.
Okay.
You know, and a lot of music, it takes something out of you now.
I agree.
So
I agree.
I want to say
Sinatra. The words that they say. That's another.
I won't go. I want to say Sinatra, but that whole
that era, right?
Thing,
that type
just
of
kind of the people are carrying that on. Maroon 5, I mean, even Maroon 5, you wouldn't think it, but they're influenced by this guy.
Right.
And so I have to say that kind of genre in what he was.
Favorite food?
Oh Lord, I gotta say it's with each other. I like Italian and Mexican food.
Okay. Which you have both in you?
No,
you have Italian in you.
I have no Mexican in me. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought what? Yeah, Italian.
Scottish. Scottish.
Scottish. So he wears a kilt and eats pasta.
Yeah.
If you could meet one person from any time in history, who would you like to meet, and what would your first question be for them?
I've never thought about that. I'm probably gonna take up too much of your time thinking.
Well, we can come back to it.
Yeah, I'm too nerdy for that. I mean, you'd have to.
Okay.
You have to put it in a category.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Well, it could be anybody from any society, anyone. But we'll come back.
Yeah.
I will get you the answer. Brenda Rouse's answer. I don't remember if I said it on the show, but Brenda, I'm going to put it out there, and Randy, I know you're going to appreciate it. So when we had Brenda on, and she came in the Dallas Cowboys thing, I think the camera person doesn't like the Dallas Cowboys. What is the name of your team? The Aints? They're going 2-13, whatever the season is, because I don't really know football. Brenda's answer to that question I just asked Craig, and I will get his answer at some point. He'll text me or call me. Brenda's answer was the Bionic Man, Lee Majors. She said that was her Justin Bieber, because Justin Bieber was a big thing for the younger girls. That was her crush back in the day. So Lee Majors, a $6 million man who was married to Farrah Fawcett Majors, was hers. And I was supposed to share that, and now I have. Randy, hey, I don't think you can compete with them, but I'm sure that you'll give me a one-liner that we can't put on camera that will crack me up. Feel free to text me. Finally, what is the saying you live your life by, if you have one?
I have two. One of them is because of the adversity and the thing, and that it's written on my bathroom mirror. It says, "Success is revenge."
Okay.
For all those that want to throw eggs at you, and like you, I heard you talking in your prelim. It's so easy to put crap on Facebook and talk people down.
Sure is.
But what have you done today? What have you done?
Exactly.
And then the other thing is, I will do today what others won't, so I can have and give tomorrow what others can't.
Okay. Beautiful sayings. One last thing I want you to do. We talked about the gym. Do me one more favor. Look at the camera and give the address to exactly where it's located.
The website is wcftulsa.com, wcftulsa.com, and 7401 East 46th Place, World Class Fighting and Fitness.
Okay, and like I said, I can't say enough good things about it. Whenever there's an event in town and I'm invited over there, which I know that he'll let me know, we'll be shooting more videos and stuff there. Hey, that's another show, as we always say, folks, in the can. And as Frank Sinatra sang so eloquently so long ago, the best is yet to come. Bad Brad.